Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
So, before we get into it, here's how you get involved with the show in real time. You take yourself to ntrradio.net. Find the chat link there. That'll bring you to the page where you put in your nickname, hit the button, and join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client and point it at irc.ryzen.net and join us in the # or hash SLC media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at Anubis, at VZMK2, at NTR_radio, and as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com. So, how's it been going?
Okay. Just trying to do some art stuff.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some music stuff. I say I've been trying. It's been going okay. I've got a couple projects in the works, but I have been watching some anime lately.
I actually did get a kit last week.
Oh yeah, which kit?
It's. Have you ever heard of Steel Jeeg?
Yes.
One of the Gundam guys. Okay, they made a kit of that. In the infinitism design, which is like the Mazinger Z Infinity style, where it has all the little techie bits,
right?
Channel lines. I finally got that because I needed a Jeeg for my collection, and I missed out on because I wanted to get it. They made a Super Robot Shogoken in 2016, and I wanted to get it, but I couldn't because I had other stuff.
Right.
It happens like that sometimes, but now I was finally able to get this. So, yeah. Okay, yes, so stuff we've been watching.
I watched some anime today. Like I watched 3 or so. I've been very slowly going through the original You're Under Arrest TV series. Like,
oh, all right. I never seen that. I've been wanting to.
It's good. So there are, I think it's 4 OVAs that came out first, and then there's an entire TV series on the back of that. And obviously the OVAs are like they look much better. They're overall a lot better than the TV episodes, but the TV episodes are good in their own right. And you would maybe never know this without knowing what You're Under Arrest is, but apparently it's kind of a massive franchise. It went on for quite a while. But I've been watching that. I also went back and rewatched the first episode of Azumanga Daioh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just as a hey, this is on High Dive. Let me check this out from way back when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's the show that again I credit, at least at the time, that made me like what it's not modern now, but at the time modern anime,
right?
Quote,
contemporary
unquote.
Anime.
Yeah. Well, because around that time, 2003, 2002, I was kind of like really just into like 80s stuff,
right?
80s and earlier 90s stuff, and I'm like, I'm not really liking what was out at the time. And I wasn't really looking around to stuff. But then I just happened to get that sample disc from when ADV used to have them in New Type.
Right.
New Type USA. And I loved it. I was like, wow, this is great. It's cute. It's funny. Oh, I'm not even thinking about that pun. Yeah,
but yeah, I saw, and then obviously I watched F91 last night, which is the foreshadowing for the main topic.
Besides the stuff from this season, I've been rewatching Happy Cooking Graffiti.
I still need to finish that. I watched the first 2 episodes of that a while ago.
Yeah, they actually did a re-release at Sentai, so you should get that.
Ooh.
But they have it under Gourmet Girl Graffiti for some reason.
Yeah.
The thing I watched though, was the 4th Ava movie.
Yeah, I've been seeing so much about A lot of people are really liking that.
A lot of people are liking it, but also a lot of people seem to be like, why did they do certain things?
Right. I mean, you obviously you're never gonna satisfy everyone with the rebuild series. I like me. I don't consider the rebuild series to be like Ava. For me, it's basically the TV series and then Death and Reverse, Death and Rebirth, End of Evangelion, and that's it. And the rebuild series is something else that basically has Ava's characters and kinda
It's a
sort of
different,
has
it's a
sort of
different thing
it's
that
try
just
yeah
have to have.
it's doing something else. It's like
Yeah,
I'm not
glad
gonna
it did
shit on
something.
it for not being Ava, but I'm not necessarily gonna consider it to be Evangelion as I understand it.
I will say this movie, kind of is almost like a soft reboot, um, of End of Ava,
That
but
doesn't surprise me.
it's not as visceral.
Mm,
Like what I mean by that, it's not as like, um, psychologically tormentive
mm,
as that movie was.
right,
That movie just had a better of like showing like inner madness.
right.
Um, but I did enjoy it. I did like it. A couple of weird choices of certain CG shots that are kind of like, I don't know. It just looks weird.
Well, I mean that's also the other thing with rebuild, and not to be the CG anime guy, but it come there are not even because I haven't seen the fourth one, but in the first three, there were also some kind of odd usages of CG.
It like goes back. It goes to CG, then it goes back to normal.
Oh,
Like then it goes to CG, then it goes back. That's
oh,
yeah.
damn,
You'll see that of the Avas.
yeah,
It takes you way out, and I only think it was like done out of like saving time,
right.
because if you could have animated it normally if you took the time to do it.
Well, I mean, between the time it took between the third movie and this movie, I mean, I don't know what they were doing, but
No, I know what happened. Um, what happened was, he didn't know what to do with it for a while.
oh,
He also was taking, he took a break. Anno
right,
took a break and did that Godzilla movie,
right, yes,
which is
okay,
really good, and I recommend that. If you ever wanted to know what a live action Ava movie would be like, yeah.
I do still need to see that.
Uh, then he got depressed again.
Mm,
Again, trying to figure out how to even end it. Then, of course, there was the COVID delay,
right,
so it was kind of all stacked against it.
yeah, one thing after another.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily blame him for not knowing how to end it because you're gonna, regardless of what you do, you're gonna piss some people off.
Well, I will say it did a satisfying thing, and it did something that I always wanted them to do that not even Enda Ava did.
Hmm.
And I can't say it because
yeah, I guess I'll figure that out when I watch it.
yeah, it's at the end, and you'll finally feel like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, so
That will actually be on the test.
yeah.
I'll say what was the thing that I wanted them to do that.
It's gonna be on the exams. That's the extra credit question.
Yeah. Also, best girl wins the Shinji Bowl harem.
Well, that's gonna depend highly on your opinion of who best girl is. And
Best girl by my
I
by
know
my
I know
standards.
you and I disagree heavily on who best girl is in in fucking
Yeah.
rebuild. So I didn't check because nothing really came nothing really came across my desk. I don't think there's any news that we need to cover.
Uh,
Nothing necessary.
nah, nothing really major. You know, I can't even think of anything that's
Yeah, nothing I can think of. So let's drop into F91 because I got
okay.
things to say about F91.
Yes, yes.
First things first, and this is something that I kind of like it kind of came to mind especially while I was watching the beginning. The people who watched this originally and then watched Unicorn must have been like, "Whoa, they're doing the same shit." Like, did you notice that? Like,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes. The museum.
Unicorn is basically like it's pretty much kind of a rehash of the beginning events of F91.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
far-flung space noid people attack a newly built colony looking for their lost princess. And a whole bunch of innocent people are killed in the crossfire because the colony is a terrible place to have an armed conflict with the mobile suits. The so obviously the elephant in the room is that F91 was planned as a complete series, and then they eventually cut it back and cut it back and cut it back until they made a movie about what they had so far.
Yeah, it was it was like basically the scripts for like the first 13 episodes
Right. And
condensed into a movie length.
I think having finally watched F91, I think that its place in the UC timeline is appropriate. I think it's a good introduction to that transitionary period
Oh, I love
between
it. I love
yeah.
that.
Well, so like you get a good grasp of especially how the mobile suit technology would kind of develop into the late UC because this is the last vestiges of the Jigan era of mobile suits. Like every time you see a Jigan on screen, it gets fucked up
Oh,
because
the Jagan, yeah.
yeah, because they're
Or
everything
Jagan.
that everything that the crossbow vanguard is fielding is one or two or three levels more advanced than the Earth Federation stuff. And I think
I'm also like, even though it was directed by Tomino, it's pretty straightforward.
yes, yeah, I wasn't I I found myself confused a little bit just and the only confusions that I really had were okay, hang on, wait, where are we? Because there are some parts, and it's not many, but there are some parts where it's not clear whether they're on Frontier 4 or Frontier 1.
Right, right.
But it's very straightforward, and it has the same kind of feel as a a 0080 or 0083 or a Unicorn, where it's got that throwaway Gundam OVA feel, but instead it actually matters. Like it actually matters very deeply to the UC
Which is
timeline.
funny because so many people like, oh, you don't need to see F91.
I,
They
I
did. ANN did this thing about a whole bunch of Gundam thing, and it's like, you should see these. You shouldn't. You don't have to see these. And F91 was on the. I'm like, oh, thanks. It's, my favorite Gundam thing. And
that's it's so frustrating because like the again once again and I've said this before, you will never go wrong if your question is what order should I watch these things, you will never go wrong with watch them in the order they came out.
see, I wish I
Watch
saw this.
everything in the order that it came out.
I wish I saw F91. I actually knew about F91 way earlier than I said about that bootleg DVD I was telling you about.
Right.
I knew about it like in 1992. Because those were the model kits that I saw in stock. Was late UC stuff in like Chinatown and in Forbidden Planet.
Right.
A lot of F91. So that's why a lot of these mobile suits kind of reside with me still, because those were the ones I didn't know about the Zaku. I didn't know about the Go for Dom or the Gym. Of course, around this time, here's a funny thing about me and Gundam. I thought they were all called Gundams.
I did too for a while.
I didn't realize. Oh, okay. Mobile suits are what they're called. Gundam is a specific type of mobile suit with this specific look. But they're all Gundams. You know. Of course, if you're covering the giant Gundam that they made in Japan, if you're the news, it's like, oh, that's a Transformer.
It's a Transformer. That's like when you're a parent in the 90s and every video game console is a Nintendo, regardless of if it's made by Sega or Sony.
Yeah.
Like I'm so glad that both my dad and I played Mech Warrior 2, because now all I have to say about any giant robot is, oh, it's a mech, and he knows exactly what it is.
Which is funny because there was once at one time where my grandmother, I was holding a Transformers. This was like in the late 80s, like this was like in 87, 88. I was holding Transformers, like, okay, you put aside your GoBot. I'm like, that's a GoBot. And it was funny. Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, I don't remember which one, said the same exact thing about like, and I was like, wait, GoBots were kind of on the downswing in like 87 by that point anyway. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, back to F91 stuff.
Yes. So let's talk about the designs, because I'm so initially I wasn't really a fan of the visual design of the F91 Gundam, but after learning like how it works and why it's designed the way it is, it really grew on me. I really
it definitely has a sleek, like, this is the future of mobile suits. It's smaller, but it's faster, and
well, so it's not even that what bothered me was, and this is going to be very superficial, and I'm the guy who doesn't watch IBO because I don't like the way the torso of the Barbatos looks. I didn't like the giant grill on the front of the torso.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But after like watching the show and reading up on why it's made that way, I actually appreciate it. And this is like my main complaint with F91, and I get why they didn't do this, but they didn't really go that deep into why the Gundam is designed the way it is and why, like,
well, that was just a time issue, obviously.
Yeah, they didn't have time. They probably would have gone into that if it was an OVA several episodes long or a full TV series. But the entire design of the F91 Gundam is built around managing heat. And, like, number one, it illustrates just how advanced that technology is and just how more advanced it is than any other machine that had come before it, because heat was never a problem. Like, there were maybe like a few instances that I can think of where a mobile suit overheating was a problem. There was that part in 8th MS Team where Norris Packard shorts out the EZ8 with the electric whip, but again, that was more so an electrical issue than a heat issue. But
Mm.
the F91 Gundam having to be built to manage all of that heat because they're packing that level of technology in a smaller on a smaller platform. I I appreciate the way it's designed. I also really like the and again, they probably would have been able to expand on this more if it was an OVA or a TV series. I really like the effect where once it's really once it's at its max output, it starts ablating the outer layers of its armor, and then it'll look like an after image, and it
Yeah,
tricks
yeah,
the
yeah.
enemy's radar. That's so cool. Like I'm a fucking nerd about that in particular. That it's so hot, it's going so fast that it just sheds layer by layer of its own armor, and that actually helps it out.
Also, yeah. Well, also the enemy mobile suit designs are great as
Listen,
well.
I don't know why, but we need a we need an HGUC Denanzon immediately.
Um, well, it would have been probably if the Reborn 100 line was still going. They could have.
That probably would have been.
I mean, high grade, yeah, but it's gonna be really small. That's the
I don't
thing.
care. I want
All right.
listen. I want a highly articulated Denanzon model kit. I will pay money for that. I will purchase
You could
that.
buy 5 of them then. If they're
Yeah,
high grade.
I'll probably buy multiple and do a squad build. Look at that. I've got like at least 3 Zaku's, 3 different Zaku's.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was gonna say before. I wish I saw F91 before I saw Wing, though, because again, that Wing was the first Gundam anime that I saw. And I'm like, wow, this is boring. Although I did have in the '90s and it was released by Viz, and so interesting experiment for Gundam release here. They had 0083 and made that into a comic by taking screenshots.
Yeah, there were a few of those. I remember I had one where it was like a couple episodes of SpongeBob they did that for.
Yeah, Tokyo Pop was doing that in the
Yes.
around. Yeah. It's actually an interest. It's not needed now,
No, not
but
necessarily.
it was an interesting experiment.
It was a cool concept for the time. Yeah, I I I liked the Denenzon. I think it's I'm kind of halfway on its weapons. I think I'm usually the guy who's all about the mech with a giant lance. I usually really like that, but I don't. For some reason, it doesn't quite work for the Denenzon for me. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I really wanted. What I would rather it have is like a little bit scale, like a scaled down from like an 18-meter scale to a 15-meter scale version of the Zaku machine gun. But I get
well,
that that wouldn't have
the other
fit
one
in.
has it. The Den and Gay has a gun.
It does, but it's not like listen. The Zaku machine gun is iconic. Like it's it's a grunt weapon, and I get why they didn't do that because that basically would have been a step down technological wise from from even what they were using in Unicorn, because all that was beam weaponry.
I actually had an unbuilt Burgess Gyros kit back in the day too. That's the purple and black one.
Yes.
By the guy that's obviously meant to be Char.
Yeah.
But at the Char looking character, but at the time I didn't know that in the instructions. I'm like, oh, this guy has an eye patch. He's obviously a bad guy. Because I already told you my story about the Gaplant kit.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is an obvious bad guy, but why is there a pretty girl? My brain couldn't figure that out. I was like, not that I could, but I was just, I didn't understand what Gundam was.
Right.
I didn't understand. Oh, okay, it's like, meant to be real war type of thing. Not not everything is black and white.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like that they went into that aspect in F91 where the Crossbone Vanguard had strict orders not to harm civilians, but the Earth Federation really had no problem deliberately putting civilians and innocent children in the crossfire.
Mm.
It, like, going to show that nothing has really changed in the Earth Federation after like 30 some years, 50 years more so.
Were you confused about at least at first, the part when, so what's the girl's name?
Cicely Fairchild.
That's it. I was so basically she came from like the aristocratic family in the that's on the Crossbone side.
Yes.
But then but was she like pretending to be nice to them, or did she actually intentionally defer? And then like, no, I'm going back.
I think what happened was she thought she really had no choice but to go to the Crossbone side. But then when she realized that, well, okay, the people who I've grown up with on this colony are they're coming to get me. They're coming to get me out. They don't. I have a choice whether or not I want to be involved in this. And then especially after she finds out what Iron Mask is planning, and everything involved in that.
Iron Mask was great too.
Yeah. So once she found all that out, she wanted nothing to do with what the Crossbone Vanguard was planning. Yeah.
Also, the thing about the way to do the wire circuitry is the thing Mom taught me to do in the cat's cradle.
Yeah.
That's like I know old spy movies used to probably have something like that. Oh, the password to this thing is the melody my father taught me on the piano.
Yeah, like it's something otherwise very mundane.
But it's actually the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. I do kind of like how, and again, this plays to how F91 kind of feels like a Gundam OVA that matters. How you know that, number one, the Federation basically lost this conflict. And number two, you know that this is not over by a long shot. This was just a first strike. And so
they never explained what happened to Londo Bell, though.
Yeah, I feel, and that's part of why I'm glad that they're going back and kind of filling in what happens in between Char's counterattack and F91, because it sort of feels like it feels like UC Gundam in name only. Where, okay, you have the Jagan, you have the old ass gun tank that's very obviously derived from the Loto. You have the old Zakus and Gilgoogs in the museum. But otherwise, there is not much connecting it back to the conflicts of old UC Gundam. Like there's very little. All the connections that are there are kind of superficial or don't
I think that
really
was
matter as
deliberate by
much. And
Tomino. He
I
just was like,
yeah, I
I'll do
guarantee that was
Gundam,
deliberate.
but I'm making it as far removed.
Yeah,
And then when you see, not to spoil, but if you ever see Victory,
I'll see victories eventually.
that's even more far removed.
Right.
Because there's not a single damn thing about previous UC, and it almost feels like an AC thing.
Right. Well, that's why I'm glad they're going back and filling in the gaps, because it's sort of like, and they didn't really need to do this, but it's sort of like how 0083 sets up the conflict that happens in Zeta. Kind of like you get to see, okay, well, here's why the Titans were established. Here's what happened to make the Earth well, here's what happened to give the Earth government permission to establish this particular fighting force that we now see running roughshod over the Earth sphere and do whatever the fuck they want in Zeta. So I appreciate that they're doing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what more they have in store. I still haven't seen narrative. I know the reaction to that was mixed. I also need to see Hathaway, but I'm number one. I'm curious to see how far they go, and number two, I'm just basically I'm just glad they're bothering to do that. I
Yeah.
do.
Well, they'll definitely do Crossbow,
I 100% guarantee you they'll do Crossbone eventually.
which is after F91.
Yeah.
I would
Like
love.
it'll be like it'll be wild, cuz like this movie's 1991, right? I'm not
Yes.
mistaken on that, right? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Fucking 1991, and then 2020 something, if it comes out this decade, we'll finally get the actual continuation. And it's like fucking at the end of the movie, you see the F91 Gundam, and then Homeboy and Homegirl and the space boat in the distance with the text, "This is only the beginning." Except it's been only the beginnings for the better part of 3 decades.
I would also like. I don't know. I don't know if they would do F91's silhouette, which was a manga and model toy line, model kit line, but maybe F90,
Perhaps.
which was also a model kit line, and they've been doing new F90 kits for the Master Grade line.
Ooh, maybe I might get my dream of Master Grade Denon's on. I know.
Maybe, but the weird thing is that, again, if it isn't like Xeon, then you're very rarely gonna get.
Yeah. Like that's the other thing is like the other thing that kind of decouples it from the UC conf, because like there is no vestige of anything Xeon. Like nobody's got an old like Xeon flag hidden away. It's like Xeon has been completely eradicated, and I know.
The only Xeon you see was that Gelgoog.
Yeah, everything Xeon is now in one museum that's in like 3 shots, and that's it. That's basically the only thing connecting it. That and the Jegan is the only thing connecting it back to 1 year war era, Earth Xeon conflict era universal century. gonna tell you one thing though, as far as mentioning shit we hope gets animated. Sentinel, and then Char's deleted affair, and then they can do whatever they want, whatever you want.
Gaia Gear.
Guy
Gaia Gear.
is all bets are
I
off.
know
Gaia
Sunrise
Gear,
has no claim on it though, because that was delivered by Tomino, but not using any not using the word mobile suit at all in it. Called them man machines. And it's like, yeah, it's late UC, but it's not even called UC anymore. It's like, fuck this. I'm gonna make this so far removed.
well, that's kind of like what
Sunrise won't touch.
it's basically what both Turn A and Reconquista were. Like, this is kind of it's basically UC, but we're so far removed that it's basically not UC. It's not a Zaku, it's a Borjanon. We found it in a fucking mountain. I don't know what it is.
Okay, Gaia Gear came from like 87, 88. That's how early he had these ideas that, and again, they did the thing about a Char clone.
Right.
That was only he's the pilot. He's the main protagonist. He's the one piloting the Gaia Gear.
Yeah,
and I kind of like that idea of making the villain the hero.
Yeah. I do like that going so far in the future that it doesn't matter is a thing that's been done not once, not twice, but 3 times. So what really happens is all of these things could have actually just happened. But like, fucking, it could be UC Gundam, and then shit goes south, and then it's Reconquista, and then shit goes south again, and then it's Gaia Gear, and then shit goes south again, and then it's Turn A.
Yeah.
The world just continues ending over and over, and that maybe, and then shit goes south again like 5 more times, and we end up in the alternate world from now and then, here and there. Where it's like the shit has been going south for so long that the sun is swelling up into a red giant, and there's like 5 drops of water left on the planet, and everyone's fighting over it.
Everyone lives in colonies.
Everyone lives in space colonies, but it's like at that point, we better hope that we're like doing some interstellar shit, because we're not gonna fucking.
We've terraformed. That's it. We terraformed not only like Mars but like Pluto.
Start terraforming shit. Start terraforming like Titan and the Jovian moons. Like the people of Jupiter are now like, ha ha ha, suckers. We've been here the entire time. Well, you thought we were the dumb ones going out here and getting all this gas. Now nobody can live on Earth. So what are you gonna do now, idiots? I think, as far as F91 goes, I think it was very good, independent of the fact that it was supposed to be a TV series. Honestly, looking at it now, I really don't know how they could have stretched this into a TV series. They probably had more planned, but basically what we might end up with is whatever they do for Crossbone.
That's what I was thinking.
Probably what they had planned for later on in F91.
Because Tomino wrote for Crossbone.
Right.
He didn't draw it, but he did write for it. So I have a feeling, and that was like 94 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like whatever he had in the back of his mind.
Yeah, that some of that probably made it into Crossbone.
There's actually quite a bit of the Crossbone, because there was like not just Crossbone, but there was like other Crossbone, like something like Crossbone and then something.
Mm. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I speaking of the crossbone Vanguard and all that. I I'm a really just going off of the mobile suit philosophy going on in F91. I like the crossbone mobile suits,
Yes.
the X1 and all that. The design of having the thrusters attached to the core fighter that plugs into the back, like it's honestly I think it's genius
There's no core fighter. There's
on the
just
on the I can go get the model kit,
of which one?
the crossbone.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
crossbone gun, the actual, yeah,
Yes.
putting the thrusters on the,
Yeah.
yeah,
And even with the F91 having the reactor on the backside and building all of the thrusters around that, it's
yeah,
in I remember I think it was you who mentioned this that Tomino really likes the seeing the progression of technology into smaller mobile suits.
yeah.
I, I I'm really starting to get an appreciation for that because it makes sense.
Which
Like
is weird because they kind of dropped that for things like Turn A and um Reconquista. But I feel like that was more of an aid from Bandai above. It's like you gotta keep these guys 18 meters so that way the high grade kits will be the same size.
I don't think I I'm not sure I agree. I think that because those take place after shit went south, you kind of have to start rebuilding up technology again, and you're not necessarily like they might still be in the era of 18-meter tall mobile suits. Like they might not because you we had to because like mobile suits came out in like the 70s of the UC,
Yeah.
and then we wait until like the 120s before we get these 15-meter tall. And before then, mobile suits were just getting bigger.
Yeah.
Like the double Zeta was
Then
like
yeah,
20 meters
they
tall
went
or some
like
shit.
they went bonkers shoes by Hathaway's Flash.
Yeah.
Like we want these things to be big,
Yeah. So and
mobile armor size.
that kind of makes sense because they didn't you unless you have the materials and all that to make those things smaller. If you need a if you need more power to power more powerful weapons, you're gonna need a bigger reactor, and you're gonna need to build a bigger mobile suit around that, and you're gonna need the armor and all everything involved with that. So it makes sense that they build bigger mobile suits before they got smaller.
Oh, did you? Speaking of mobile armor, did you like the Raffagia?
I I thought it was kind of
As like the final big bad of that.
yeah. I thought it was okay. I would have rather it been a mobile suit. I
Oh,
I
maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I've never been a big guy for mobile armors. I I like I like how a mobile suit battle is kind of like a cross between like an aircraft dogfight, like a fighter jet fight, and a fight between two actual people sword fighting and shit.
I like the ones that the mobile armors that transform into mobile suits the best.
I I'm halfway on those. Like so I like there are some from I like the Superior
Like the
Gundam.
bound dock.
The bound I'm not a fan of the bound dock, and I'm not afraid to
Oh,
say
no.
that I I was not never I like the Masala. The Masala is nice.
Okay.
The I'm sort of halfway on the Hambrabi. I'm sort of halfway on the Gabflay. I like there are some aspects I like of thing. You know what I do like? The things like the Delta Plus, like how they like basically what the Hyaku Shiki was supposed to be before they took away its ability to transform.
Yeah.
I like the Delta Plus. I like the Rizel from Unicorn, the thing that was developed from the Methus.
I don't think those are considered mobile armors. I think those are just wave riders.
Yeah, they're not mobile armors. But
mobile armor, transform mobile armor stuff like the Psycho and the Psycho Mark II.
Those I was never a real big fan of like the final boss sort of mobile suits. Something like the Rafflesia, something like the Psycho Gundam and Psycho Gundam Mark II. Because it's like, okay, it's a big Gundam. It's a big Gundam that transforms into a square.
I like the O, which is pronounced Geo.
I like that one. I like that from a design aspect. Because you can tell that.
Wish I could get the master grade for that, but that thing's sold out everywhere and it's huge.
Oh yeah, that's what I like about like all of the mobile suits that Optimus Shirako designed.
I think that's like 10 inches.
I bet they're big, and they're fast because they're designed to operate in Jupiter's gravity well.
Yeah.
I really like, in general, I really like when you can see why the mobile suit was designed the way it was in the mobile suit's design, and that's why I really grew to like the F91's design. Yeah, I was not real big on the final boss of F91.
Now, some people say that it lacked characterization because of the time. And maybe that's kind of true because you don't get to know everyone. Like, what's the guy with the 80s hair backstory?
Well, like,
but again,
the kid who was riding the fucking gun tank with a rocket launcher, him?
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about his back. He's one of the kids who ends up on the ship in every single Gundam series. Like, we don't know any of their backstories. We only know some of their backstories because they were given backstories after the fact. Like fucking Katz Kobayashi. Yeah, he's an actual character now, but back in Mobile Suit Gundam, he was one of the fucking rapscallions, one of these little shits running around white baits causing trouble. Like the main characters are fleshed out enough to serve the purpose for the story, and that's really like what
I think so. Yeah,
like I don't know who cares about the 80s. I don't even remember his name. I don't know who cares about the 80s kid, but I think they need to actually sit down and watch the show instead of wondering what homeboy who fucking almost got killed on the gun tank, what his backstory is. I think that's a really weird criticism. All it came off to me as was, okay, literally the same thing as in Double Zeta. It's like, oh,
I wonder how this movie did it during like when it came out.
That would be interesting to know.
But yeah, it's Double Zeta.
Yeah, it came off the same exact way to me as in the beginning of Double Zeta. Oh, okay, the fucking the main character has a bunch of friends because of course they do. They live in the colony, and all their friends are getting together because the colony's under attack. And if they don't stick together, they're probably gonna die. So they're basically all in tow with the main characters, and I don't really care what fucking Shita and Kum's backstory is in, what was it, Zeta. I don't. They're the children, and their purpose is to run around and make trouble. And obviously, you don't get a whole lot of that in F91 because there's not enough time for that.
Well, these are the weird people who also like mecha's about the characters, not the you get that weird contingent of people that's like, yeah, but you know what?
There's like five
Mobiles
mecha
can still
series.
sell.
Well, there's like five mecha series that are actually about the robots. Every mecha series is about the characters. That's not like people say that like it's a revelation. It's not. It really isn't. But unlike other mecha series, this mecha show is about the characters.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I made the joke
you're
on.
not intelligent.
I made the joke on Twitter about you should watch Get a Roborock. It's a mecha series about the. It's actually about the mecha.
Yeah, it's like if they came out with a fucking virtual on anime, then we'd probably have another. We'd like have, instead of 5, there'd be 6 mecha shows that are actually about the robots instead of the characters, and that's because there basically are no characters in virtual on. You never see any of them. Like, I think like
Super robot shows.
Well, they're super. Those are kind of also about the characters. I would argue that super robot shows are probably at least as much about the characters as real robot shows are. Like the mecha is a cool way to do shit while also like the characters are developing as people.
I
Like,
see. I
the
know
characters are having they're having character conflict, but it's also played out by way of giant robots punching each other and shooting their fists up in the air. The whole thing is like people.
I know what it is. Also, it's gonna sound really, it's people who are like, look how grown up I am. I watch anime, but I watch it for the story and the characters.
Well,
I can't let anybody know that I just like it for the robots. That's why they do that.
I don't even think it's that really. I think it's people who like straight up they just don't like robot anime, and they're like their frame is I'm probably not gonna enjoy an anime if it has robots in it. And so when they find a robot anime that they actually enjoy, they discover that, well, okay, this anime is actually about the characters if you really look at it. And they don't know that that's every robot anime because they don't watch robot anime. And like that's fine, that's okay. But if you say that, you're gonna get clowned on by people who actually watch robot anime habitually.
You know what? Like because we were talking about this. Surprisingly, a lot of first mecha show of the first mecha show a lot of people seen was Evangelion.
Yeah, that's a really bad first mecha show. I'll come out and say it. It should neither be your first nor your first mecha. I mean, you'll probably get something out of Evangelion if you've never watched a robot anime before. Sure, that's probably true. You're not gonna get nearly as much out of Evangelion if you're not familiar with the paradigms in robot anime.
Yeah. It's like the angels coming. That's just the monster of the day.
Yeah, that's the giant monster that you would see fighting, giant monster or enemy giant robot that you would see fighting in every super robot anime. Well, it's like this is why my recommendation is always listen, just watch everything from in release order.
Yeah.
Because everything builds off of everything else. And this is also because I did manage to find that list you had mentioned from from
Oh,
Anime
the
News Network.
ANN.
I obviously
Yeah.
have some. I obviously have some disagree. Like, well, so here's the thing. If you're watching the stuff in release order, by the time you get to F91, you're gonna want to know. You're gonna know if you want to watch F91 or not. Like,
Right.
like
Right.
you don't get from, okay, well, I'm gonna watch Mobile Suit Gundam or the compilation movies or whatever. Oh, okay, I'm gonna let me check out Zeta Gundam. Okay, cool. Let me check out Double Zeta. All right, let
I
me
mean,
hit
I've
up.
seen them in all different orders, but I'm fine with that because I could do that with my brain.
Well, it's
Like,
like,
sort of
by
no.
my point is, by the time you reach F91, you've watched like 5 different Gundam anime. You know whether or not you're interested in watching F91. You don't need people on the internet telling you not to watch F91. You know you want to, you know you're gonna be interested in it.
Well, okay. The problem is, a lot of people have the sort of "is this worth my time" shit.
Well, that's the issue. That's why basically my only response is ever gonna be, listen, just watch everything from, especially with Gundam. I'm not interested in confusing people more by by recommending a weird watch order with Gundam. Listen, just watch first Gundam or the compilation movies. If you're interested in that, then you got you got 2 choices. Either watch Zeta Gundam or start on some of the OVAs. And that's basically like that's like going by that. By the time you reach F91, you will know whether or not you're not gonna, or more, put it this way, you're not gonna reach like the end of Char's counterattack and be like, yeah, I don't want to know what happens next. Like you're you're 5 shows deep at that point. Especially if you're also doing OVAs, you're like 7 or 8 anime deep at that point.
Yeah, there was a certain someone, I won't name his name, but you can infer who. Was like, can I get around watching Zeta by watching the compilation movies?
Nope. Well,
Yeah.
here's the other problem is that this list you were talking about recommends skipping Double Zeta, and that's no, under no circumstances should you skip Double Zeta. Just because it's silly, just because it lightens the mood after
It really
Zeta.
wasn't
What
that.
the?
It wasn't as silly as like people were building it up to.
It really was not. What? My question is, what do you want after Zeta? Like, what exactly do you want it to get even darker? I don't know how you can do that after the end of Zeta. Or I put it this way, I don't want to know how you would do that after the end of Zeta. Like
The end of Zeta Gellion.
yeah, exactly. You'd have to do exactly that in
You
order to
want
get darker than the end of
Camille?
Zeta.
Oh no, okay, no. Camille's comatose, and I don't know, maybe oh no, okay.
Yeah, let's not go down that road. I that's my thing. Is like, is just what is people's problem with watching Double Zeta? I don't get that. I don't I oh yeah, after
It's the commitment to getting to a series to know if it's worth their time or not. That's
by the time you're done with, like, by the time you're done with Zeta, you have watched at least one full length Gundam anime. You know whether or not you're ready to do that. Like,
I get you, but these people also watch a lot of other things, so
do I. It's like
I do too.
If
I don't know.
don't half-ass gun and skip over shit because you think it does, because you think it doesn't matter. That's my whole thing. If you want to watch UC Gundam, then watch UC Gundam. You don't have skip the OVAs. Sure, they're all inconsequential, except maybe Unicorn, and that one's kind of inconsequential as well.
Yeah.
Unicorn is basically like a trip back through the conflicts of the Universal Century. That's basically
Did they
what
say
Unicorn
skip
is.
0083 or not?
I think 0083 is a maybe. 0080, yeah, that's a maybe. Right. My thing is, listen, I would advocate skipping all of the OVAs if you really want to save time. You don't need to watch the origin. You don't. You'd probably get some value out of it if you did after watching Mobile Suit Gundam. You would probably enjoy it, and it would probably give you a cool perspective on the beginnings of the 1 Year War and the beginnings of people like Char Aznable, people like Ramba Ral, all of those characters that you come to love in Mobile Suit Gundam. But you can skip it if you're pressed for time. You can skip it, but I don't know why. If you're pressed for time, your option is, yeah, let's skip Double Zeta. Let's skip Let's skip mainline series and movies. That's my issue. Honestly, if you're really pressed for time, don't watch any of this series. Just watch the OVAs. Pick up everything else through like internet research. Sure, if you're really, really pressed for time and you want to get into Gundam, quote unquote, watch 8th MS Team, watch 0080, watch 0083. Watch Thunderbolt.
These are people not, yeah, but they probably get into the AU stuff more because
yeah, that's Cool in the Gang. There's not a
lot of people, seem to really like Iron Blooded Orphans.
Yeah, it's a good show. I just don't like it. Well, it's a good show. I just don't like the design of the main mobile suit. But listen, Wing, Cool in the Gang, Seed, Cool in the Gang, fucking XG, Double O, definitely.
Didn't like Reconquista.
Reconquista, I liked it. Other people didn't. Wow, this article is being really harsh on a lot of the old the AUs. Like Double O is a not worth watching. Age is not worth watching. I get that. Reconquista, no. I mean, Double O, half of Double O is worth watching. You basically gaslight yourself into believing that the second season of Double O doesn't exist and becomes a good anime. But yeah, it bothers me that people want to get into something like Gundam that has this very long running this long running storyline, this universe going for it, and they want to save time and skip around, especially skipping stuff like Double Zeta. So I did enjoy F91. I'm looking forward to watching Victory as well. I have not
Victory
heard a whole lot about Victory.
What?
I've not heard a whole lot. I basically don't know anything going on in Victory. I know what a couple of the main mobile suit designs look like, but I know nothing about the because I went into F91 knowing a little bit about it, but not entirely. Victory, I'm basically 100% blind on.
Yeah, the thing is, not a lot. It's one of those. Not a lot of people have seen it, but those that have really like it. That's kind of what I've.
Do we know if Right Stuff has put out Victory yet?
Oh yeah, yeah,
They have? Cool.
yeah. It's in 2 sets.
Mm.
Um. Oh, did you like the end song for F91?
I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it as much as I enjoy. Well, I can't even really say that because Gundam songs are either a really big hit or they're kind of like okay for me. And this one was kind of okay. It's not like it. It's not like what was it? Men of Destiny or Back to Paradise or
Oh,
The
well, it's not.
Winner.
It's not a high tempo thing,
It's not, and
but I thought it was a good like ending song.
it's a nice song. It's a very nice song. Like it doesn't it didn't bother me, but it wasn't like it wasn't like Love from an Aqueous Star, like the second Zeta opening or the second double Zeta. It wasn't anything like that, but it was a good song. Like I can find I finally have context for the song that plays when the when like the Zeta Gundam cinematic is playing when I'm playing Gundam Versus on the PS4
Mm.
or the F91 cinematic. Excuse me.
Oh, actually, one more thing.
Yes.
I think I actually really like the whole like, after the big battle, the Seabrook Anno, was that his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was floating in space, and then they had to like find him,
Yeah.
and then it was like using the new type
Yeah.
powers to find. I just really like that. No, Cecilia,
Cicely.
Fairchild floating in
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Cecily Fairchild.
And then using and then like the flower, that was like what's that word? Like when something is there, like a foreshadowing to later on,
Right. Right.
because it was going to play a part later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the way that was all done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And like I said, for a Tomino thing, it's the most straightforward. And from what I read at the time in an America book that had Tomino interviews, it was like the 10-year anniversary of Tomino, and basically like a sort of reunion of Tomino. Not a 10-year anniversary, but like a reunion of Tomino, Yaz, the character designer, and Kunio Akawara, the mecha designer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like had the three come back.
Right. Hey, they all did a good job.
Yeah.
Visually it looks really good. Even me watching it on the DVD version, which is what I have,
All right.
it still looks really good. Like it's just a testament to how well the visual designs were done in the first place.
I have the Blu-ray, but in Japan they have a 4K one.
Ooh.
Yeah. See, now that I finally got you to watch this, now I got to get you to watch Transformers the movie, the original one. And you're gonna say, "Damn, VZ was right. I don't know what I've been missing."
I'm sure I'll hit that up at some point.
Yes. And that got a 4K release here.
Ooh. I don't know why I'm saying ooh. I don't have anything that can play something on 4K.
Neither do I. I'm fine with Blu-ray. Blu-ray is fine. I don't need to go any sort of. I know that's kind of like what do you want to keep for animation, which is generally what I buy only of. It doesn't need to go really any higher.
I mean, yeah, it's like there's a certain point at which you kind of hit a ceiling, and for a lot of anime that spent at least stuff that I watch, 1080p is like it's really good, especially if like old stuff like Macross Plus. that in 1080 looks really good.
Yeah, there's certain things that look when you go from like the step up of DVD to Blu-ray.
Yes.
And you see shit that you never seen before.
Yeah.
Like in Robot Carnival, for example. Or even like I just said, Transformers movie. You see detail that you never saw it before.
Right.
So I'm not putting down 4K. If you have the setup, go for it. But I'm just saying it's not really I don't think you're gonna get that much more the way the jump from DVD to Blu-ray.
Right. You get diminishing returns.
And especially old anime, because when Project Echo comes out,
ooh,
that's gonna be, and they finally got the original film print.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild.
They even said, "Oh, we there's jokes that you couldn't even see in the original."
That's gonna be so wild when that comes out. There was a piece of news that I just did remember. Discotech has the license to the Gunbuster OVAs now.
Yes, they released. They said a whole bunch of cool things are coming. Gunbuster, which I'll definitely go for that on Blu-ray. Something I didn't think that would get license rescued, but finally, like oh my god, this Machine Robo Revenge of Chronos.
Yep.
Now that's gonna be standard definition on Blu-ray, but guess what? I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
It'll still look a step up from like the old Central Park Media DVDs, which are like garbage.
Right.
Because Central Park Media DVDs, I loved the licenses that company had as a legacy company. They were great, but DVD quality was garbage. It was fine when you had a CRT TV.
Yeah.
They are unfucking watchable on a flat screen TV. Most of them. Most of their stuff is just unwatchable in 2021 on a modern Blu-ray. Putting one of their DVDs on a modern Blu-ray player, and it just doesn't look good.
Now I want to do a little experiment. Take my CPM release of Alien 9 and try and play it, because I haven't played that in years. So and try and see what that looks like.
I don't know if that show was animated on cell or digital though.
That might have been digital. I have a feeling it was digital.
Okay. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Central Park Media, one of their last licenses was that thing that KyoAni made. That was actually their first original anime.
Yeah, Munto. Yeah.
Yeah, and Munto is getting a Blu-ray box in Japan.
Oh.
So I could see that maybe getting licensed out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually recommend that you've seen that one day, just as a sort of like if you ever want to see KyoAni.
Right.
Story-wise, it is the most generic anime plot, like isekai plot. It's literally ordinary girl going into another world, and only she could save that world. But what makes it special is, again, seeing KyoAni-isms.
Right.
And even though it was early, it was like 2003, it still looks pretty good from that time. And it kind of looks like the main girl from Air.
Hmm.
Which is weird because it almost like foreshadows that they adapted Air.
Right. I'm gonna tell you what. In addition to Alien 9, what I might also try, because I have this from CPN as well, is the release of Dominion Tank Police. See how good.
Oh, okay, that's definitely selling. That yeah. The one thing I love about Dominion is that, and if they ever license rescued that, I'm sure Discotech will. They have to fucking get the American audio.
Yeah. I would be disappointed if they kept only the Japanese audio for that.
Because I love not just the main news, the song that they came up with, but even the background music I actually like much better than the And I know maybe that's a weird nostalgia because I saw Dominion Tank Police early on. But damn, for some reason I just liked the. But that was in Japan. I mean, when it was here, even though that was Central Park Media, I think Manga Entertainment did that in the UK. So they were the ones that did like the dub and all that. And I think they were the ones that did like the music for that. I could see that getting a license rescued.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Which is weird because they only license rescued the new Dominion Tank Police, which is okay, but the original 4-episode OVA is just it's so bizarre and weird, but yet cool.
Yeah, it's a wild concept. I like to think of it as like police militarization reaches its logical conclusion, and the police just have tanks now and don't care about collateral damage.
Which is why, at the time, I didn't understand why the Puma sisters had ears. Like did the bacteria thing in the air make them? Were they mutants? Oh, okay, they're robot girls.
Right.
They're androids. I almost flubbed because the technical term for android girl is gynoid.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. They just say android.
Yeah, like I would love if the term gynoid could catch on, but because it hasn't, I've gotten used to saying, oh, it's just a female android. It's a gynoid. It's a female android.
Yeah. Did you ever see the artist Hajime Soriyama?
No, the name doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, he is this Japanese artist. Even if you never heard his name, you've seen his stuff. Sort of like drawing female robots.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I know exactly.
In airbrush, yeah.
It's the sort of like, it's the archetypical fembot.
Yes. It's
like if you think of a fembot, it's this exact kind of thing. It's like very obviously a robot, but very obviously a robot that's very shaped like a woman.
Yes.
And like a pinup woman, the sort of like the like Playboy pinup, except it's all chrome and she doesn't have a human face.
Yeah, he actually did a design for an OVA anime that I've seen, called The Humanoid, which actually has a It actually has a character that looks a little bit like you. And apparently, Coffee's the most. What?
I don't know. Okay, I see. I think I see which character you're talking about. Yeah, that does kind of look like me.
Also, Coffee, because that's all the characters talk about. Coffee's the most important thing in that OVA. And yeah.
Anyway, okay. That's gonna be the show.
Yeah, I think we've kind of said all of F91. Yeah. I recommend it.
Highly recommend watching F91. Yeah, don't skip it like these people are telling you to.
Yeah.
The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. Check out VZ stuff at vzmk2amoy.wordpress.com. He has the Big Book of Idols. You can find that at thebigbookofIdols.com. My stuff you can find at iyashike.moe and otakuentrepreneur.net.com. My book is Otaku Entrepreneur. You can find that at otakuentrepreneur.com. In the upper right, there's the book link. You click that and you can buy the book there. Check out the Bakugaijin Show, Otaku Midnight, Asobi FM, and the Geeky Panda stuff at thegeekypanda.net. I sell half-naked anime girl figures at shinikiba.moe. I'm on Twitter at Anubis. VZ is on Twitter at VZMK2. The show is on Twitter at NTR_radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm VZ Mark 2.
And even though the Crossbone Vanguard invades our colony every time we say it, this